I'm Diane Wedner, Lifescript.com. Today on House Calls, how to talk to your doctor about vaginal problems with top OB-GYN Dr. Yvonne Bohn. Hello, Dr. Bohn. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, here's a question that most women probably don't want to ask, but should, and it's about vaginal odor. You know, why do I have it and what can I do about it?
Okay, well, everybody has their own odor, so that's the first thing, and everybody's body is different, and everybody's body will have a different scent. And so first of all, it's understanding what is normal in your body. But if your vaginal odor is fishy, specifically fishy, that means that there is an imbalance in the pH of the vagina and typically an overgrowth of bacteria. And that odor can be treated. That has to be diagnosed as an infection by your doctor. But if you do have an infection, there is an antibiotic cream or antibiotic pills that you can take that will help eliminate that odor.
So for that one particular odor, they should go to their doctor to get that checked out.
Right, but if you're other times when you could have an odor that could be potentially serious in some women, if they have a tumor and the tumor is releasing cells, sometimes it can have a very kind of putrid, almost like rotting odor. If you had an odor like that, that would be an odor that would definitely warrant medical attention. Sometimes women forget to take out their tampons. And so again, that is going to have an odor that smells like rotting or something bad. So any type of odor that smells like decay, that is something that would warrant medical attention. But other than that, most people will have some degree of odor in their vagina. And the odor of the vagina will change during the month depending on where you are in the cycle, whether you're on your menses or after your menses. And so part of it is understanding what in your body is normal.
Going back to that tampon question, if a woman discovers that that is the source of the odor, should they take it out, or is there a chance there's an infection and should have a doctor handle that?
No, the woman can take it out, but most of the time the women don't realize that they've forgotten the tampon. They just have this terrible odor or have a kind of a weird discharge, and then they come into the office and we do the exam, and then we see a tampon that may have been left in for 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay, thank you. And speaking of discharge, how do women know what is normal discharge?
So it's the same thing with odor. We have to learn our bodies, and our body's discharge changes throughout the cycle. And so in the beginning of the cycle, and this is specifically for women who are not menopausal, the first half of the cycle, their cervical discharge will be more clear, like an egg. If you break an egg and the clear part of the egg, it's going to be more liquidy like that. And as after ovulation, the discharge will change to a thicker, whiter discharge. So most discharges that are either clear or white typically are not an infection. If they're discolored, either green or yellow, that could signify infection. Also, if the discharge causes itching or burning, or there's a specific fishy odor to it, those could be signs of infection.
And you were talking about the clear discharge. Doesn't that is a sign of ovulation? So if women want to conceive, that might be a good time for them.
Right. So you can actually watch your cervical discharge to determine when is a good time to have intercourse if you want to have a baby. So right before we ovulate, a few days before, our estrogen levels rise, and it changes the texture and the clarity and the stickiness of our discharge. And it literally is, if you break an egg, and the egg white, that is what your discharge will look like right before you're ready to conceive.
That's a good tip for women who are trying to get pregnant.
And also to avoid pregnancy, if you see that discharge, that might be a time when you don't want to have unprotected intercourse.
Okay, good advice. Some women develop little bumps on their genitals. Are they genital warts? Is that something that they should get checked out?
So there are many different things that can cause bumps in the vaginal area, and every time a woman has a bump, they are always petrified that they have an STD, either warts or herpes. But a lot of the bumps that women have in the vaginal area are benign bumps that are not STDs. So one reason you can get bumps is a lot of women shave their pubic hair, and so the follicles where the hair comes out can form a bump. Also, women can get something called sebaceous cysts in their vagina. Our vulva have glands in them, just like our underarms do. And so people can get a deep-seated type of pimple in the vulva. And it can either be a cyst or it can be just like a pimple. We call that a carbuncle. Those are they're things that can be treated, but they're not sexually transmitted diseases. Genital warts have a very specific appearance, and they usually come out in clusters. The best way I could describe them is they're fleshy colored. They're not bumps, but they're actually fleshy colored, and they look like little cauliflowers. Like if you could just imagine a broccoli tree or a cauliflower, it's a lesion that has little tree-like parts to it. So they have a very specific appearance. Now, if you find a bump, a lump, an ulcer, one of these cauliflower-like lesions, definitely anything you're not sure of, you should have it evaluated by your doctor.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bohn.
Well, thank you for having me.
And as always, be sure to check with your doctor before beginning any new health regimen. For more information, visit our Women's Health Center at www.lifescript.com. From Los Angeles, I'm Diane Wedner.